Simon, you've probably lost count of how many reviews of bits of kit you've done over the years. And today you've got a music streamer for us. But before we talk about this particular bit of kit that you've been testing, tell us a little bit about your testing procedure. So, for example, do you try different setups? Do you get a bit of kit and test it with loudspeakers, with headphones, see how it performs with both, that kind of thing? What do you do?
Well, it depends on what it is, obviously, and how many functions it has. I've talked to you already about loudspeakers, and they just do that one thing that they do, of course. So you put them in position. You need to experiment with different positionings because different loudspeakers respond differently to the way they're positioned. But after that, if you attach them to what I like to call a reference system in this house, which I know all about and how it performs and what it sounds like. If you change the reference speakers for the speakers that you want to review, then the differences are generally fairly apparent. Obviously, if something has a whole stack of functionality, then there's lots of different things that need to be examined. If it's an amplifier, you'll need to listen to all of the different inputs from a CD player or a turntable or whatever. You need to listen to its headphone amplification. You need to listen to it via Bluetooth if it can stream via Bluetooth. So it's really just it's quite methodical. But what's important is you only change one component at a time. I have a system that I understand completely inside and out, and I know what every element of it sounds like. So if you change one element of that, even if it's just the speaker cable or whatever, then I will be able to tell you what the differences in that are. Of course, if you change more than one thing at a time, then you can't attribute those differences to one thing, not with any confidence. So it's all very methodical, I like to think. And while I have probably lost count of the number of products I've tested, I know how many I've tested since I've been working for myself, because I have a very thorough spreadsheet.
I'm lost for words. You and the spreadsheets just didn't go together naturally for me. So,
No, well,
maybe we'll get you to do a
I was
session on
forced.
Simon's spreadsheets on another day. But today,
Yeah, do
you
tune
have
in
got
for that.
you've got a music streamer for us that you
Yep,
plugged into your reference system, no doubt, to give it
that's
a
right.
whirl. It is the Cambridge Audio MXN10. What were your first impressions?
Ooh, isn't this small? That was my first impression. It's a tiny little thing in a chassis that's quite a bit smaller than is the norm for a piece of hi-fi equipment. It's the same chassis that Cambridge has been using for its very successful phono stages for a while, and it means that the MXN10 is compact and discreet and quite easy to position in anywhere that you want to position it. That was my first impression. And by the time I'd finished testing it in its reference system, um, my impression was of much as Ed talked about the Cambridge Audio turntable. It's another excellent Cambridge Audio product for the money. Represents tremendous value for money. It's very thoughtful in its application, and it, I think, will be ideal for any number of people who might be interested in getting into a bit of digital audio streaming without maybe binning off their legacy hi-fi system that they've owned for years and still enjoy.
And at this price point, that would actually be really tempting, wouldn't it? So this music streamer is around about the 450 mark at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, it's very easy to spend thousands of pounds on a music streamer, but Cambridge Audio have come up with this for about 450 quid. And you're saying it's great value for money. How do they manage it?
I am saying that. I mean, Cambridge Audio will sell you a music streamer for thousands of pounds, certainly. Um, I presume, I mean, there are things that the MXN10 goes without. It doesn't have a display, for instance, which is no real impediment, I don't think, because you tend to be able to have to operate these things from a computer or from your smartphone anyway, because of the control app, the Stream Magic app, which is Cambridge Audio's platform, which is really effective. So the fact that the machine itself doesn't have a display because you're looking at your phone to find out what's what anyway. It doesn't have a headphone socket or any headphone amplification, which which may put some people off. But equally, if you're integrating it into an existing system, then there's every chance you've got a headphone socket elsewhere on the amplifier, probably. So, and of course, um, it's in a smaller chassis than is the norm, which means less money spent on materials, and it also means you can get more of them into one shipping container all the way from China to the UK. So these are all economies of scale, I guess, and that is a big part, I suppose, of how Cambridge has managed to produce what is undeniably a piece of hi-fi for slightly less than you might imagine is possible.
Now, you talked about operating it from your smartphone.
Yes,
Is that easy to operate? Is it the Stream Magic app? Is that easy
it is a
to
Stream
operate?
Magic app. Yeah, it's good. It's a good app. It's nice and stable by the standards of these things. It's fairly logical by prevailing standards, and it allows you to incorporate your favorite streaming services, as long as your favorite streaming service is Spotify or Deezer or Qobuz or Tidal. But it also gives you access to internet radio, which is always an endless joy. So you've got access to music from all over the world. AirPlay 2, Apple AirPlay 2, and Chromecast are built in as well. It's UPnP ready, so any music that you've got on a common network is available, and it's Roon ready as well. So all of those different sources of music that it can deal with can all be collated in one area as well. So there's been no particular scrimping on the specification of this. They've just forced a lot of stuff into a very small space.
A very small space by the sound of it.
Yeah.
Simon, I think you've made a lot of people with their favourite legacy hi-fi very happy, because or maybe you've confused them
Well,
because you've
Cambridge has
now
done that
added
really.
another option for them to hang on to it and just add this streamer into the mix. Right, thank you very much indeed, Simon, for your review. And you can read all about Stream Magic in the technology session on the Sound Advice website. And just to make sure you don't miss it, I will pop a link to that below this video as well.